If you want to learn to write scientific lab report, but you don't know where to start, this tutorial series should help guide you in the right direction. If you haven't seen our videos before, we are a group of 3 individuals who have been studying at the ISG for the past 4 years. We established this non-profit organization as part of our community project. Our organization, ISG Tutorials, focuses on delivering exceptional educational videos to help viewers like you learn. By the end of this 4-part YouTube tutorial series, you should be able to understand all the aspects of writing a lab report and the level that is required in the year that you are in. If you are in MYP 1, 2, or 3, this video tutorial series is perfect for you. Now, this video specifically is an introduction to start writing lab reports. It will focus on explaining the stencil sheets you are given and the basics when writing a lab report. If you want to start learning on how to exactly write an aim, hypothesis, fair test if you are an MYP 1 to 2, and variables if you're an MYP 2 to 3, please check out the video named How to Start Writing a Lab Report. If you want a tutorial on how to write a proper method, apparatus list, results, including graphs and tables, conclusion, and evaluation, please check out the other parts of this tutorial. The links of those videos are in the description. Before I start this video, I would like to clarify a few things. First, note that if you're on MYP 1, some of the things mentioned in this tutorial are not required for you to do, and you will learn those in later years. Secondly, do not worry if some of the aspects of the lab report sound confusing, they will start to become clearer over time. Lastly, and most importantly, understand that the first lab reports you write will not always be perfect, and that's fine. Making mistakes is part of your learning process. Now, without further ado, let's start learning. Stencil sheet and the criteria sheet. When you first start writing a lab report in MYP 1 to 3, you'll most likely have come across this stencil sheet and this criteria sheet. These sheets are meant to help instruct you when writing your first lab report. However, they may seem confusing at first, so let's break it down. The lab report sheet. The lab report stencil sheet is divided into separate sections or rows. Each section represents a different component of a lab report. For example, the uppermost section on the first page of the stencil sheet is where you need to write your aim. Now, you may also have noticed that the stencil sheet is divided into separate columns. In the left column of the stencil sheet, you can see a brief guide on what you need to write for each lab report component. In the right column, you are given space to write what you need to write. Now, there is one part of the lab report stencil sheet that is often overlooked, and that is the title at the top. Note that the title and the aim are not the same. While the aim refers to a detailed explanation of the objective of the experiment you have carried out, the title is an informative, brief, and appropriate description of the experiment which you have carried out. When making a title, think about the main idea of your experiment. For example, a title such as Investigating the Reactivity of Zinc in Hydrochloric Acid is an appropriate title. Generally, try to avoid titles such as Science Project, or in our example, Investigating the Reactivity of Metals in Acid. These titles are too general. What metals will you be investigating? What acid or acids are you using for your experiment? The criteria sheet. At the beginning of any lab report assignment, you will always be given a criteria sheet. If you aim to get a high grade on your lab report, I strongly advise looking over the criteria sheet. This video will not specifically go over the criteria sheet. However, when we start talking about how to write the parts to a lab report, we will make sure to thoroughly describe what the criteria sheet requires you to write to get a high grade. Writing concisely. In the subject of science at the ISG, you are encouraged to write concisely. After all, it is quality over quantity. However, this doesn't mean summarizing your entire hypothesis in one sentence. Instead, you are meant to show that you understand the science related to a topic. Again, I want to emphasize that you do need to include the necessary details and always link back what you are saying to science, which includes adding a scientific explanation in your description surrounding a topic. Now, before I end the first video to this tutorial series, I would like to quickly recap what we have learned. We discussed the lab report stencil sheet and how it works. We discussed how to write a proper title. We discussed the criteria sheet, and we've discussed about writing concisely. I hope you found this video informative and want to start watching the other parts of this tutorial series. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the tutorial, fill in our form on our website, and give us some feedback on how we can improve, as we are also here to improve.